We are live. Hello, everyone. I'm the Atheist Ranger, and wish I was here under happier occasions. But sadly, one of our own has died. Paul, can you mute yourself? I'm getting an echo.
Okay, let me turn it down and see how that goes.
Hello, hello.
No.
All right.
It could be me too. It could be two.
Okay, gotcha. Anyway, I wish we were here under happier occasions, but sadly, one of our own has died. A certain heretic woman. I did leave her. I did leave her picture on Facebook. She was she was the I believe the main host or the co-host of Beyond the Trailer Park podcast. If you again, I'd be more than happy to sub to that if I had left that description in the below, but I didn't. Anywho, so we're I'm hosting this hangout tonight to as kind of a memorial, and well, let's talk about our favorite Canadian atheist. Because I think the first time I met Heretic Woman, I think it was actually during one of my own live hangouts, and the only reason I managed to get in contact with her was because I managed to stumble upon her podcast, as small as it was back then. Guys,
I was sharing the link. Sorry about that.
Sorry. No
but I was going to say the first time I met her, I'm pretty sure it was on one of Steve McRae's hangouts. Probably a rum and coke night. And she struck me as somebody who is really intelligent and very easygoing, and just somebody I liked her from the beginning. Like as soon as I met her, I knew I liked her. So it's really tough.
Yeah, it is.
Hi, Heretic Woman here.
Yeah, right. Well, let me screen share, I guess, her channel here.
Okay.
Can you guys see it?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, I just looked it up myself. I'm not the greatest on names, so I had to get a face.
Oops, sorry. I don't know why it keeps doing that. Anyway. Damn it. Yep. Unfortunately, this is our pal Heretic Woman here. Not much is let me be very clear and not to be blunt, but we don't know how it happened. We just know that it happened, unfortunately, last night. And it was very sudden. We just got the news from one of her co-hosts this morning. And I have to say this is quite a bit of a shock to all of us.
Well, yeah, she seemed in good health, like you were saying. She seemed in good health in the stream last week. For a lot of her content, her biggest content was the podcast. For anybody else who listens to this after the fact, Atheist Beyond the Trailer Park. That was her podcast. And what was the other one? Full Quranic?
Yeah, it was Full Quranic.
Yeah. So those were her two bigger, productions, her two series that she did. The Atheist Beyond the Trailer Park is, it's talking about issues that atheists face in the world. And it tends to be from a women's perspective because her co-hosts were all women. She did have male guests. It wasn't that she didn't allow men on the channel. It's just the co-hosts were women, and I think that was the point. And then the full Quranic was her exploring the Quran in an attempt to put it in a chronological order, because if you've never read the Quran, it's not in any kind of logical order of time. Like the Bible happens to be in chronological order for the most part, but not the Quran. So,
Yeah, apparently we got a comment from the chat. Apparently Matthew of Odd Atheist Friends. She apparently he had it on his show a month ago. It was awesome to have her on. I wanted to have her back on again soon. I'm deeply saddened by this. She was super cool. I agree, she was super cool. In fact, she never got back to me, unfortunately, but I was talking about doing a collaboration on a response video with her, but unfortunately she never got back to me, and unfortunately because of now, she probably never will. So yeah. Because not really knowing much about Canadian politics, and it was definitely about something in Canada.
yeah. Hey, Lobster.
Hey, Lobster.
You're muted, Lobster.
He's probably watching the Patriots game.
But and then I was telling you about the best time I had with her in a hangout, of course, was the hangout that everybody knows about, and that's the one with G-Men and R and Raw after
Yes.
after the R and Raw Kent Hovind debate.
Yes. You know what?
That hangout will go down in infamy.
Yes. You know what?
I was the host of the hangout. I was the great debate community for that particular hangout, and something a little odd happened when that hangout was going on. Steve McRae and Heretic Woman herself and myself are all managers of the Great Debate Community channel. It's actually Steve McRae's second channel.
Yeah.
But for some reason that night, Hangouts had a glitch to it where we all looked like we were the Great Debate Community. Well, when G-Man went ahead and rage quit, he blocked the Great Debate Community.
Yeah, that was
that kicked him out of the Hangout right there, because there's 3 people in there you can't talk to.
Yeah, I was just about to screenshot that hangout, but ladies and gentlemen, we have us just joined us is Heretic Woman's co-host Beth. Beth, how are you? I thank you for being here. I honestly wasn't expecting you, but I just thought I'd invite you anyway.
Thank you. I hesitated. I'm not doing so well, so if I bust out crying, I'm sorry, guys. It's been a rough day.
No, we perfectly understand.
But I do appreciate this, both for myself, and I'm pretty sure I can speak for Morgan and say we both appreciate it.
Oh, you're more than welcome. We were just remembering what a fine person she was. We were talking, actually talking about plans we wanted to at least me and David wanted to do with her, but unfortunately we can't.
Yeah, it's tough. I can do this without bawling. She had asked me to stand up for her wedding next month.
Oh, right. She was engaged. I forgot about that, actually.
Her common-law husband got demoted to fiancé, as we would joke, and I'm American, Deb's Canadian, and because I don't drive anymore due to health reasons, I let my passport lapse, and so I've been racing to try to get an expedited one before the wedding. And yeah, it's kind of a shock when 7 hours prior you're talking about wedding plans and contingencies in case I couldn't make it, and then you wake up 7 hours later to find out that your best friend and co-host is gone. And it's even more shocking if, for me, because I've had 2 heart attacks and 2 strokes in the last 7 years. And Deb was instrumental in getting me back to normal, if there's such a thing, my new normal.
Yeah.
So, I mean, here's a woman who I pity any poor fool who got into a discussion with her concerning the trans panic, or anybody that who was Islamic who decided to go down the route of whether Mohammed and Aisha consummated their marriage when she was 6 or 9 years old, depending on your point of view. Because she had, I mean, to watch her in action, I would just sit there and watch her debate. And we call it the Crazy Group. It's one of the atheistic debate groups on Facebook. And I would just sit there and watch, take screenshots, and try to learn from her. She was a formidable force.
Yes.
I agree.
I mean, when her and I met, it's kind of hard to believe we met in a chat room with the original Atheists-On-Air with Cash and with Professor Stephen. And at the time when we decided to start Beyond the Trailer Park, it was only supposed to be a fill-in until Cash decided what he wanted to do. So her and I and Dave Foda said, oh, we'll just, do this, blah, blah, blah. And we did one show, and, none of us are Cash. I mean, nobody can be Cash. I mean, he was just Cash. There's no way to describe him. You'd have to listen to his epic rants when he began the show. And we went into the second week, and it was determined that the original AOA wouldn't go on. So Deb and I talked about whether, and we just kept going, and we would have hit 4 years in about March, April-ish. So it's really kind of hard to determine, where we would have went, because we did it because we thought it was fun. Basically, we're on a telephone call, with Morgan, and we just let everybody listen as we rant about, whatever floated on our boat at the moment. And most of the time we never stayed on topic. But yeah, she was a formidable force, and she was the social butterfly out of our group. I was kind of the wallflower.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not a very social person. That's why I hemmed and hawed.
Yeah. I know. I mean,
AR nicely sends me requests every week. I'm usually working. And I'm like, oh shit, I won't get home from work on time. Because I usually, during the summer, I don't get off till 9, so I don't get home till about 10:30. And I happened, I was able to get someone to cover my shift tonight, so I didn't have to work. And I'm just kind of sitting here mindlessly staring at my computer, trying to do something that didn't engage thinking. And I'm like, I have no clue what to do. And I just happened to go on Google, and there was. So I just thought I'd pop in and say hi and thank you.
Oh, no problem. I think my favorite memory of a Heretic woman is that once in a while I would, just I guess just to poke fun at her, I would say, and instead of saying about, I would say a boot.
Yeah.
and she would always say something. She's like, "We don't say a boot."
Well, in her defense, she does not say it as much, or it's not as discernible. But I do know some Canadians, or I should rephrase that you could tell they were Canadian because of how they pronounce certain words. Now,
yeah,
a lot of people that listen to our show know that I used to live in Hamilton many years ago when I played hockey. And so I have a lot of Canadian speech patterns. I actually say it more than she does.
Yeah.
Yes,
I have noticed that.
I did notice that.
It's like everybody picks on Deb about it, and I'm thinking, yeah, here I sit. I mean, I was born and raised in Buffalo. The Peace Bridge, when I finally moved out of my parents' home, the Peace Bridge was literally in my backyard.
Right.
I could walk. I mean, if I wanted to, when I have in the past, I could walk over to Canada, to Fort Erie. And because the hockey league I played in was a Canadian-based league, so out of 100 games, not that we play that much in a year, 90 of them would be up in Canada, in Oakville and Welland and St. Catharines, Hamilton, Toronto. I've played up in Quebec. I've also played on the West Coast, but it's funny because everybody would pick on her about house and about or about a boot, couch and all, and I'm like, I see it more than she does. We'd bitch about that back and forth because it's like she's the Canadian and I'm the American, and I got more of a Canadian accent than she does.
That tends to be it tends to be more people from Nova Scotia that do it. Like, have you ever heard people from Nova Scotia,
yes.
like Shannon Q and
yes. It's funny because I hear it in like with people in Minnesota and up across the northern border, like in Montana and stuff. I have friends from Montana, Minnesota, Wisconsin, that if you listen closely enough, not that it's really an issue, but you can pick up a little bit of that tinge of that accent. And it's just so funny because it's like, I know all the people that joke with her about it are joking. They're not making a big thing about it. It's just, Deb had a unique way of speaking. And what's funny is when she did verbal debates with people, that's what they would hone in on. And that was their only criticism. They had nothing else. They couldn't address her argument, so they attacked her accent. And I just thought that was always really funny. And I think on a real super deep level, in some instances, it did bother her. But, even though Deb was Canadian, I was American, and Morgan is from Mississippi, and we purposely did that, we wanted that range of people, because we are all the same. I mean, our basic core belief, being an atheist specifically, was that we, don't believe or accept in God or the God concept or God or whatever. And that's what she always tried to drive home. But people were so focused on that accent. And it's just funny to remember because it's like, yeah, no, she doesn't talk like that. But
have you noticed that in some regions of the world, in Canada, United States, like in New England, they like to forget there's a thing called an R in a lot of words, right?
What's an R?
R, yeah, like you know what I'm saying. So, and in other parts of the world, right, in this hemisphere, it's like they grab those vowels, kind of like Wheel of Fortune or something like that. They go, fuck, we can use that letter instead. You know what I mean?
Are you talking about those people that park the car in the yard?
Yeah.
That's basically nothing more than a Southie accent, which actually isn't a Boston accent, Right. And there's people that sound more like that live nowhere near Boston.
Right?
I mean, you go to some parts of Rhode Island, you go to parts where I live, right, and that's that Boston accent supposedly that people always hear,
Yeah.
But I love the accents because it adds flavor.
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
Exactly. Well, I think one of the biggest things I've noticed, especially since I had my stroke, and speaking can be sometimes difficult for me because I can't form the words like I used to. So it's in my head, but it does not come out my mouth right. And I notice how people speak Detroit because sometimes there's words that I want to say, but I can't because my mouth doesn't make that proper shape. And it's funny because you'll hear all these different accents, but when I get into discussions with theists, or in my case, I do a lot of anti-science, anti-vaccination debunking, and that's what stupid shit, like the fact that we all have different accents, we all say words differently. It's like that's the stupid shit people focus in on instead of the bigger picture.
Well, that's the easiest way to find out how thick you are. Yeah, how thick your skin is, right?
Yeah.
Is to, so yeah.
And nothing,
if it doesn't bother you,
Yeah, and nothing gave Deb more drive than when people would do that. And it's like people were just feeding into it and giving her more and more, we'll say, Shira power.
Yeah, I've seen her I've seen her be really nice to people that, quite honestly, didn't deserve it.
Mm-hmm.
And
she had more patience than I did.
But in the end, you know, she was one of those people that could, I think, quite honest, and I don't want to mention a specific person because this isn't about them, but I think she